law because of my philosophy on elections. 1954, I cast my first vote in an election for the President of the United States, and it was a very good one because it was pretty much tells you where my foundation is Republicanism, is Constitutional Republicanism. As I said, I got blackballed in Hollywood, which is my kind of first real awakening to what's going on in politics. In the 80s, I was asked by Charlton Heston to run for the Screen Actors Guild Board of Directors. Ed Asner was the president of our guild, and he was very outspoken, supporting the Sandinista communists in Central America. And Chuck wanted someone to try to get on the board to work from the inside to get Ed to shut up. 14 of us got elected. I became national first vice president of the Screen Actors Guild. We were outnumbered probably about 3 to 1 on the board, and we got asked not only to be quiet, but to not run for re-election. We were very effective politically. And some of you may know or remember that Ronald Reagan was president of that guild, and I have to say with my own experience, that's sort of how to play politics. And it was like fighting in the dark when you did it like that. My next thrust in politics was 1998. Bill Leonard, who was head of the Republican Assembly in Sacramento, called me up, asked me to run for office. I did. It was February of 98 when we asked me. And on February 28th, I raised $996,000 in our race, which I think is still a state record for the state of London. We had 32% registration. We finished with 46.6% of the vote. And what made the difference in that race, the head of our ticket was a man named Dan Ledger, who's still in office in politics. It was a very strong pro-life candidate. And at the end of the day, Democrat women came out at 48% of registration. Republican women came out at only 12% of registration. So they're pro-choice, they couldn't vote for them. If they were Republicans, they couldn't vote against them, so they didn't show up. If they had shown up, 48% of registration, the same as the Democrats, out of one election. That is why every single vote matters. Don't ever think, well, I'm only one person. A lot of people get together thinking they're only one person, and they get through an election. I'm running for office now. The first time I ran for office was, let's say, Charlton Heston called me. The second time I ran for office was because Bill Leonard called me. This time I ran for office because I sat there and watched total disbelief while Pelosi herded up a flock of Democrats and against the will of the American people. We are a constitution based on these people, which makes it against the will of our constitution to shove Obamacare down our throat. And I said, we're going for a totalitarian government. I got to get into this. And I tried to. I am, as I said, a constitutional Republican. And let me throw something to question. What? Come on!
I'm just trying to keep it. Okay, you see your constitutional conservative, constitutional Republican.
Yeah.
What's your view of the War Powers Act?
Well, basically it's unconstitutional. Presidents usually abide by it because they're elected to fight things to do. And having acknowledged that it is a fight thing to do, I think it's probably still, unless it's a matter of immediate urgency, I think they should probably still abide by it.
So where do you think the Supreme Court's going to land? I mean, are you?
Well, I sure hope I hope they land. If not, we just have to get into office and throw Obamacare out. It is the biggest grab of our personal rights, and they can tell us what policy we have to have, what medical coverage we have to have. The next thing they'll do is say you can't eat the fast food, they'll call it all the fast food because it's unhealthy for you. They can tell us that, they can tell us that. Okay. It's the biggest power grab of a chunk of our economy, it's medicine, but it's not about medicine alone, it's about power. It is to that section of our economy what the Dodd-Frank bill is today. The Dodd-Frank bill, when you start to look into it, it puts the Federal Reserve and the Department of the Treasury in the same little group. And they, by decision, to point to any financial organization and say, we are making you too big to fail. And by labeling that, put them under their control where they can say, okay, you have to rent, but you have to sell your money at this interest rate, you have to have this much liquidity, they can tell them exactly how they can run their business, which makes them the puppeteers of a game of Monopoly. They can make this organization succeed, and that one fail for this year, and then swap it around. Put them in complete control of the financial world, which is a disaster, and it has to be totally overturned.
So some conservatives think that certain departments in our government need to be downsized. Other conservatives think that they need to be
let me just tell you what I think.
Why don't you tell?
I happen to have an opinion on everything.
Good.
Let's talk about spending. Who here has heard of the McPenny plan? Shame on you.
Tell us about it. That's what you're here for.
Wow. Well, you know about Ryan's plan, right?
Yes.
To me, that is so weak because it doesn't really address the thing until like 2030 or 2040. It doesn't really save a trillion or so off the debt. Mac Penny. Connie Mack is a congressman out of Florida. And his plan is, year number one, to freeze our budget to what last year was. And what that does is there's this, you all aware what baseline budgeting is?
Yeah.
The baseline budget is usually they increase the budget automatically by around 3.5%. The last couple of years they've been increasing it by 7.5%. It pretty much tells you what the government thinks inflation really is. Increases it at last year's level, which the Dems are going to screen that you just cut the budget by 7.5%. What it is, you have it increase the budget. Then it slaps on a 1% cut. Everything across the board in the budget. Every single thing. Which is why it's called penny at 1%. It does that for 6 years. Year 7 and 8, it freezes spending at 18% of gross national product. And the reason why they take 18%, there have been numerous studies on this. Harvard was the most recent, it's been about 6 months ago now. But you have a finite amount of money that's collected. Picture a bar graph. Everything inside the graph line is black. And that is finite. It's not by these. As you raise the amount of taxes, the rate of taxes, the base has to shrink. Your base is your employment, which is why high taxes kill the base. If you push that tax rate down, it spreads the base out, and more people are employed. The amount of money that is collected historically is always 19 and 19.5% of gross domestic product. So if you do the freezing at 18%, you're 7 and 8, you're going to have a 1 to 1.5% surplus. In 8 years, you cut the debt by $7.5 trillion, that's with a T, dollars. Now you're making some cuts. Now you're getting serious. Now we get our AAA rating back. On top of that, to answer the question, Department of Education. You need to know 2 things about the Department of Education. One, that financial wizard, Jimmy Carter, who gave us the highest rate of employment and inflation I think this country has ever seen, unemployment and inflation, made the Department of Education part of the cabinet in 1979. The other thing you need to know about education is last year was the worst SAT scores in U.S. history. We save $77 million a year by abolishing the Department of Education, by getting them out of telling us how to run our schools. There's nothing in the Constitution that says the government is responsible for education. Absolutely nothing, not one word mentioned. So there's some belief that the Department of Education in itself is unconstitutional. And I tend to agree with that. EPA, they're heavy restrictive agreements. I remember when I was a kid in Los Angeles growing up, 1956, 1957, there were days where they would tell us we couldn't go outside and play on the gym field at recess or after lunch. But the smog was so bad, if you did, you took a deep breath, it felt like someone was stabbing you in the chest with a knife. You couldn't see the hills with the purple haze. That's how bad it was. So the EPA has done some good. Cuyahoga River doesn't burn anymore. Coming out of Chicago, things like that aren't happening. So it has done some good. But now they have taken their mandate to improve the environment, the restrictions to control our economy and our business. So we either need to pull it way back, curtail it, and cut it back through some broad program. If the city's polluting too much, give a slap on the wrist. We need to cut back their ability to what they call regulations and become restrictions. So there are a number of different departments you can go through and start pulling things out on top of something like the next penny plan, which would reduce our debt even faster and more within that 8-year period.
So why don't you distinguish yourself from your opponents? Because, you know, everybody's always for everything that's good and right and warm and fuzzy. So where do you see that sharp line being drawn?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm a Republican.
Okay.
That's number one. I'm not ashamed of it. My opponent, and I'm going to kind of backdoor into this.
Well, opponents.
Right now, I just see one opponent.
Okay.
Voted to raise taxes. Voted to not drill for oil. Is against developing our natural resources. And those two things, which I think are significant things, and we can get into more on this, I describe both Lois Capps and Abel Maldonado. I see Abel as my primary opponent in the primary. He was the swing vote in 2009 for the highest tax rate in California history. He did that, and this was against his own caucus. He did that in return for Democrat support for his appointment to lieutenant governor to fill the spot when Jerry Brown vacated the role of governor. Once he became lieutenant governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a plan of making a deal with a Texas company that would come in. They're going to use platform 14 out in the channel, which is federal water, use that to slant drill under bedrock in California land. And for the next 14 years, it has brought the state of California $100 million a year in royalties. Abel Maldonado was the swing vote against doing that, and he killed it. And he said, when interviewed by the Ventura County Star, I want all the platforms down. I believe that developing our natural resources are the paddles of the heart of America to get this going. All you have to do is look at North Dakota, 3.5% unemployment. There was a guy I saw interviewed there about 6 months ago. He was sleeping in his car. The starting job there is in the $60,000 range. The median job is $83,000 a year. Not bad in this time. He's driven out from Oregon. Was sleeping in his car to work in oil fields. But now, oh my God, they have to have a housing boom. Now there's construction going on. Now they're building new construction. They start off by building barracks so they can get houses built. People are going to be coming in with families. They're going to need roads. They're going to need more shops. These mom and pop shops here and there are going to start having money in their cash registers. It starts a whole revival of the economy. Just from the gas and oil they bring, or the shale oil. Benefit number two. We use about 18 million barrels of oil a day. 6 years ago, we imported 12 million barrels of oil. That's 2 out of every 2 barrels. Today, we import 9 million barrels a day. That's 1 out of every 2. We've cut our import 3 million barrels a day. Thank you, North Dakota. ANWR uses 1/10 of 1% of the national park area. 1/10 of 1%. When you look at the land by the water, flat as that table, there's a little bit of tundra growing on it. There's nothing there. They show you pictures of ANWR. They show you the beautiful mountains. That's 40 miles inland. That's not where they're going to drill. They're going to drill right there by the pipe. They need to lay 160 miles of pipeline to hook up to an existing pipeline. That's it. 160 miles of pipeline. ANWR will bring in, estimated right now, on what they know is there, 1 million barrels of oil a day. That's over 11% cut on what we're importing right now. On that one field. Off of Santa Barbara, we have identified 2 billion barrels of oil. We start developing that just on the oil discovery that they know is there right now. This is just Santa Barbara County. We're bringing the state of California $400 million a year in royalties. It'll bring Santa Barbara County $100 million a year in royalties. They're screaming and yelling about they have no money right now. They will that would do to the local economy. Besides the work that's immediately generated by developing the oil and gas reserves. They believe that besides the 2 billion barrels that are there in Santa Barbara, sunlight stuff and whatever else they want to come up with. So to me, like I said, developing our natural resources, I think will be the fastest thing to get our economy going again. It'll make us oil independent in 6 years. So anytime the Arabs are telling us, well, we're going to, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. We'll be exporting oil. Exporting. Next question. Yes.
I asked Abel about oil, and he said he's all for it.
Oh, well, then why did he vote against it, and why did he tell the newspapers that he wanted all the platforms down?
I asked him
maybe he's all for it if he needs an oil change.
I asked him.
Yeah.
He said he's all for natural resources.
Yeah. Well, that's not what he said in the past, and that's not what his proven vote record is. If you run across him again, ask him why he voted against it. And why did he tell the Ventura County Star that he wanted all the platforms down?
How do you feel
Let
about?
him stand on his record.
How do you feel about green energy subsidies?
About what?
Green energy subsidies.
The energy business, green energy business in Germany, about a week ago, just collapsed. Just collapsed. Virtually every company has gone bankrupt there. They were so heavily subsidized by the government. They thought, why do we need to build anything? The government's paying us to have our office. They did virtually nothing. They've gone bankrupt, and the government has pulled back. Same thing happened in Spain about 4 months ago. The government pulled back all the money that they were pouring into this green energy because it was producing nothing but cost to the government. That's all it was producing. I think this is a free market society. This is America. You don't pay farmers not to grow soybeans. I lived on a farm for a while. When I was a kid growing up, my parents had a farm in Trenton, Maryland. We grew corn. We'd rotate that, and you do crop rotation because it improves the soil, rotate that with wheat. We were getting a check from the government every year not to grow soybeans. We didn't even know what the hell a soybean was, for God's sake. They're paying us not to grow them. We didn't want to grow them. They're still paying us not to grow them. This is absurd. Absolutely absurd. Put it out there. Let the economy settle itself down. That's what we're about. If green energy is going to work, and this is Obama's plan, make everything so expensive. I don't know if you folks heard this or remember it. When he first got into office, he said, yeah, sure, let them go ahead and build new clean coal power plants. We will regulate them into bankruptcy. What kind of a president tells an industry that he will regulate them into bankruptcy? And this man, he is either the most evil man to the American Constitution, or he's absolutely insane. And nobody says that. But what he wants to do is make natural fuels so expensive that if you're paying $20 a gallon for gasoline because he runs up the cost, boy, $18 of whatever it is for sunlight energy or anything else looks good. But get rid of the subsidies and let them, 200 years of oil and gas in the ground. It gives everybody plenty of time to develop something. And they will, eventually.
Aside from jobs, and this will be my last question. Obviously, jobs and the economy, those are the most pressing concerns nationally and definitely regionally. After jobs in the economy, because I feel like every time you ask a candidate what's the most important thing, they say, oh, well, jobs in the economy. But after that, what do you see as one of the most important challenges facing this area? And
well, all of this is so interwoven. As I said, developing our natural resources, we have to get away from dependency on the Middle East and Chavez and these people. So developing of our natural resources, but that also is jobs and the economy. So these things are all very involved. I think what Obama is doing right now to dismantle our military, to me, it's frightening. Absolutely frightening what he's doing. I think our illegal immigrant problem is horrendous. I think what we need to do, and this has been done, I don't know where these people are working. Obama says that they have hired 20,000 new people for the border patrol. They must be all working in Washington. But they're not on the borders. The Californians for Population Stabilization, which the woman who started that, was on, going back to Nixon's presidency, was on all 3 population committees that presidents have held. They've over than 3 that have been held since the 1960s. She told me, I met with her, and she said that on our border we have a little under 3,000 Border Patrol guards, real people with boots on the ground. She said we need at least 9,000 more to secure our border. To me, the obvious thing to do is all these guys coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, they're trained in security, they're trained in desert warfare and mountain warfare. Put them on the border and lock it down. Anybody coming across the border with an AK-47 strapped to his back is an enemy combatant. Either you shoot them or send them off to get them. Seal these babies down. You put up drones and lock it down. Then we can start, once we have our borders secure, they're catching people from Afghanistan coming across the Mexican border. And you got to remember that the Latinos are only 61% of our illegal immigration problem. Yeah, 2 out of 3, we see them more here because this is where they come in. But the other 39% are coming from Canada, Korea, China, France. They're coming from all over. And it's all a problem. The Hispanics, the Latinos are taking jobs at a low level. These other people are taking much higher level jobs away from Americans. So the illegal immigration problem is not just dealing with the Latinos. It's a much broader problem. We need to strong E-Verify, and they haven't perfected that where it is strong. Harsh penalties on those who are violating E-Verify. We need to set up for those who are working here now, who are here illegally but actually have their own businesses and are working. Give them a work visa. Give them a chance to get a resident visa. Let them go into the line and start processing to become nationalized citizens. Know where they are, know what they're doing, and let them get into line to be the process. You don't give them amnesty and make them citizens right now. And those who are on welfare, cut off federal funds to any state that's giving welfare to illegals. States will turn around really quick if they're not getting that federal money. Anybody who is here illegally, not working, taking from the system and not contributing, deport them. But I think that is probably our next biggest problem.
Anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
Where do you stand on abortion?
You know what? I'm not running for Pope.
Sorry?
I'm not running for Pope.
Okay, so...
So it's totally irrelevant in this race. That's like asking me what kind of pie I like. I told you about my race in '98.
Yes.
I lost an election because women's view of Dan Lundgren on the issue of abortion. I lost an election because of that. You don't see Democrats losing elections like that. They don't fight amongst themselves on social issues. They let Republicans do that. When Republicans are fighting amongst themselves and losing elections, Democrats are winning and changing our country for the worse.
I agree.
We need to stop talking about social issues and deal with what's wrong with this country and get in there and fix it. To do that, we've got to win elections.
So you're not going to answer the question?
I am not going to answer that. It has nothing to do with my race. If I was running for Senate, then it might have something to do with it because I would be perhaps interviewing potential Supreme Court justices, and you might want to know if I'm going to have a litmus test. I think the litmus test on the Supreme Court justice, there's a clause in our Constitution, Section 1, Article 3, where it says the judges may hold office during times of good behavior, which is believed to mean if they're screwing up, Congress can throw them out of office. It is not a lifetime appointment. I think either by amendment or if we can by law, set up a litmus test for judges, which is they need to be able to show that they have a background in constitutional law, number one. Number two, they need to be able to demonstrate that they believe that our Constitution is a solid foundation document. Because you cannot hold up a law to a constitution that's moving. It has to be a solid foundation document. They need to be able to demonstrate that that is their belief. And if you do that, there will never be another liberal appointee to the Supreme Court. And that'll take care of a lot of things.
Do we have any other questions?
I was just curious on the Ryan budget. Did you say for it or?
No, I don't think it goes far enough. I think it takes too long to be enacted. We need to do something right now. Now, are we going to have people, yeah, you're going to have welfare people marching in the streets like they were in London, saying, well, you can't take away, that's ours. It's not theirs. We give it to them. The word entitlement is a really nasty word. Nobody is entitled to anything except for the pursuit of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That is our entitlement. That's given to us by our Creator. Anything else is a gift from the government. It's not an entitlement. So yeah, there'll be people complaining about it. There'll be union people complaining. I'd like to see a national right to work law go in. Because how un-American is it to you want to go to work and they say, oh, you can work, but you have to join this organization to be able to do it. If they tell you you have to join something, that's not very American. Republicans are going to overturn the strength, this grip that unions have on this country. Way back when, and the union people started to riot in the streets. So they went back and they made a deal. They said, okay, we'll make a thing, we'll call it the Taft-Hartley. You go into a business that's union run, you can work the first job without joining the union. First one. In case it's not your only chance, the only time you're ever going to be a carpenter's assistant. You can work the first job. You get a second job, now you're a must join. And that's how the Taft-Hartley bill came in. Republicans were going to pass a national right to work law, because of riots in the streets by the union people, they backed off it, and that's how Taft-Hartley got it. We need to get back to right to work. And I was the leader of the union. I was number 2 man of a 74,000 member union. And I believe that if you had right to work, it would force the unions to do a better job for their membership. What I saw from the inside is union bosses, the people who run the unions, are about power, control, and money. They really don't give a damn about their membership. They really don't. They use their membership for their own power and control. And that's what union bosses are about. And I know that because I was on the inside fighting. Yes, what else? I got an opinion on everything.
You have one question? Do you have a position on hydraulic fracturing?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's terrific. And what's there up in Pennsylvania, there's a lot of it that can be gone into in the West. And like I said, you see what's going on in North Dakota. It's working. There's some scare about it's causing earthquakes. They found that it's not the fracking that's doing it. It is the disposal of the water in deep well. I think the deepest one is 9,000 feet deep. And it's the pressure forcing down the wastewater from fracking that they think is like lubricating these faults that they, in some cases, didn't even know were there. It's causing minor shifts. But they'll figure that. It's still a fairly new process, but so far it's been proven to be very, very safe. Where they do it is far below the water table. So the idea that it's poisoning wells, I'm sure they've already proven that that's what they do. It's a great thing.
I have a question. Are you a big fighter for agriculture?
For what?
For agriculture?
Absolutely. I told you I lived on a farm for 9 years. Absolutely. Yeah.
So like things like the San Joaquin Valley.
We should be having Delta smelt or whatever the hell they are as snacks here. Let's get rid of them all. I don't know if you're aware of Agenda 21 and the ripple out of that. Read up on it. Rio de Janeiro, 1994, UN. And I vehemently object to the UN telling this country anything that we have to do. I have certain feelings that we should pull out of the UN, sell the building, and tell them to go to The Hague and be next to the World Court. Their other buddies. To have them tell us, this whole controlled development which is this kind of socialist goal is nobody lives out there in the land. It all goes back to nature. We live all in the city, stacked up on top of each other, and ride bicycles. That's the ultimate goal. I don't know where the hell they think they're going to get the food for all these people who are now living in the cities, because they don't want us out there growing. You know, I don't know. But you know, the idea of socialism is a secular religion. They believe that the ones in control of the socialist state believe that they are basically God on earth, which is why they hate religion. Because anybody who believes in a God believes in something higher than the state, and they can't have it. You have to look to them for everything. And their job as God on earth is to create heaven on earth for everybody, utopia for everybody. Everybody gets food, medicine, a free house. Yeah, that's their belief. And it's basically a cult religion, as much as it is a political philosophy. But it has never worked, ever worked. And all it has caused is totalitarian misery of people getting their neck stepped on by somebody's boat, because that's the only freedom beats in the heart of people. And when they start getting pushed down deep enough, they start pushing back. This is why socialism has always failed. It is against the basic human nature of man.
I'm out of questions. Do you have anything to add? If anybody wants to get involved in your campaign, is there somebody to
make the
contact?
club bigger and go work for me and raise money for me and all those kinds of things. Hopefully we're going to get an office up here. We have actually the Republican office, I think, just opened up yesterday, didn't it?
It's been open for some time, but I know it's being staffed by volunteers.
Well, you know Johnny Brown, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she emailed me, called me this morning and said that the office opened yesterday and people want to start doing phone banking for them. She didn't tell me where the office was. She's hiding that from me. but yeah, you guys got to get involved. You know, do you all live in the area? Yeah, well, you pick a candidate that you like and go work for them. You'll find out where their office is and offer to walk precincts and go and do phone banking and making phone calls for them. You do whatever you can to help them, because if we lose in 2012, this country's had it. This is serious, really serious.
So do you have an office in Santa Barbara County yet? Or still
I'm going to have to relent. You know, being the Republican that I am, I'm trying to find a good Republican to give me an office for $1 a month. When I ran in '98, a guy did that. That way you don't, because they can only give up to $2,500, but if you rent it from them, you're paying rent for it. So if you rent it for $1 a month, he's not giving you anything. He's just getting screwed in the deal. But yeah, so I'm still trying to find someone who'll do that, and I still have a couple more leads, but I'm going to have to break down, I think, and go rent it off pretty soon. Because everybody in this economy, everybody's hurting. You drive around Santa Barbara, the places that were bristling, we'll see 4 or 5 stores locked up and for lease. They're going out. Places are closing all the time. The landlord, their taxes are going up. They need to raise the rent. The store they're not making enough to do a rent lease, so they're backing out. So it's happening everywhere.
All right. Well, I'm out of questions. So, Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Now, who are you shooting this for?
This is for the initials again, the
National
Republican Congressional Committee, so the NRCC.
NRCC.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going back to see them next week.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm already on the horizon on their Young Guns program.
Yeah. Very good.
That's probably why they want this. Tell you guys ask me some questions when I get there.
All right. That'll work.
All righty.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, everyone.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Anybody have a car with a bumper sticker? Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I'll leave a few here with Jeff.
Okay. Great. Wonderful. We'll leave them here and pass them out.
And y'all look like you're working too hard, so I won't leave you some envelopes to put money in, but I'll leave some with Jeff. Are you going to be at the farmer's market tomorrow?
I will not be there.
Okay.
But Sean and Franny will be there.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to be up there working the market from 6 to 7:30.
Awesome.
Appreciate you there.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you coming all this way to join us. At this point, we're definitely a small group. I can't lie about it, but we are mighty. So far, we've walked.
I love that. Love this.
We've walked we've walked thousands of households for both Debbie Arnold and Ed Wiggy.
Good, yes, he's a good candidate.
And we run the farmers market every week. We've been doing it for 3 months now, so it really means a lot to me and all of our membership that you're joining us today.
Yes, my pleasure. Worth the drive. If any of you happen to go on the internet, Chris Mitchum for Congress. Mitchum for Congress is the short form.com. We'll get you there.
Okay.
Take a look at my website, see what I'm doing. I even have some clips from some of my great food movies on
You're
there.
on Facebook and all that good stuff,
Very
right?
nice website.
Oh, you've seen it?
Today, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, actually, the original one I did, I hired a company down in Santa Barbara, and like 5 weeks later, it was something I went on it, and I was embarrassed to even look at it myself. So I fired them, and I called up my son who lives in Texas. I said, "You build a website?" He said, "Sure, Dad." 5 days later, I had to sign up. And because I wanted to start from the hardcore right, I mean, I looked like Patton. I had the American flag behind me, and the flags were waving, with the national anthems playing. People would like put on my website and they'd stand up. It was really, it was a little bit messy, but it was fun. I mean, it's really a fun site. And I'm supported by all 3 Tea Parties, York County Patriots, Freedom Rallies, and the Santa Barbara Tea Party. And then I started moving more to the center, talking to the Republican clubs. I got 61% of the vote of the San Luis Obispo Central Committee for endorsement. You needed 66.6 to get an endorsement. But I had 61% of the vote. I did get the vote in Santa Barbara County Central Committee. I was endorsed by them. The state wimped out and didn't endorse me. But I am endorsed by the mainstream Republican Central Committee. And now we're going after, everybody out there who hasn't heard about me yet. So in doing all this, my consultant said, well, you really need a professional looking site. So I had to bite the bullet, fire my son, and actually pay somebody to build the site. But I'm glad you think that it looks like a real
So no more
site.
Patton homepage.
I did get them after beating them for weeks. If you go on and look around into the about section of the pull-down menu, I don't even remember what it says, but you click on that and it goes into like 10 different film clips from Summertime Killer and Big Jake and some of my kung fu movies.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Then I have a poem there that my uncle wrote that John Wayne read on in an album. That's on there. So yeah, it's kind of a fun site. And the girl who's in the changing pictures on the homepage, that's my youngest daughter. Yeah, that's Jenny. All right, well,
Thanks for
enjoy
being
it, folks.
here.
Thank you very much.
You can feel free to sit through the rest of our business or take off. I know you're busy.
Oh yeah, I have my financial person coming up. She's going to be there at 9 in the morning.
Oh, that's a party.
Yeah, this is the dining for dollar stuff.
All right.
And they sit there and
Thanks, Chris.
thank you. Work hard, guys. This is a serious election this year. Next time I come up here, I want to see 3 times as many people here. Drag a couple of friends.
All right, you will.
And I'll see you in Washington.
Thank you guys.
Yes.